Welcome to the Buick Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and in this podcast, we dive deep into the outdoors. We discuss hunting and fishing techniques, give you tips and tricks, tell stories, and everything in between to help you enjoy the outdoors. Well, welcome to the Buick Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and this is episode number 1. I figured for the first episode, I would just talk a little bit about myself and Buick Outdoors. You kind of get to know me a little bit better and get to know what Buick Outdoors is all about. So for myself, I grew up in the Peace region, grew up hunting, fishing, and trapping for majority of my life. Got my first gun when I was about 10 years old or so for a Christmas present, a little Savage Arms Mark 22, nice little tack driver. Real cheap gun, but man, I put thousands of rounds through it, killed hundreds of chickens, and probably a couple dozen beaver with that thing. It was a wicked awesome gun until one day I finally burnt the barrel out on it, so I kind of did that gun in. From there, I kind of stepped it up a notch, and I bought myself a Ruger M77 ultralight and a 7mm Magnum. The problem with that gun, though, is it was so light. Every time you touched it off, it just booted your shoulder. It kind of kicked like a mule. So that one, I packed that around for a few years, and then I ended up trading that in for Remington Model 7 in a 300 short mag, which was a much better gun. That was actually kind of enjoyable to shoot. Throughout my life, I've been just a hunting and fishing fanatic. Trapping was a blast too, but unfortunately it's extremely seasonal. You got kind of a couple of months to get your trapping in. Up here in November, sometimes it's cold enough, but there's usually not enough snow, and then December it's cold enough and there's enough snow, so you kind of get December and January to trap, and then a lot of seasons start to close up in February. But it was still extremely enjoyable to do, and we still have the trap line. We still go out there from time to time and do some trapping and spend some time at the cabin. It's a great little getaway. But yeah, growing up, I had a lot of opportunities hunting and fishing and trapping. When I was, I think, about 12 is when I shot my first elk with a great big 6x6 bull elk. I shot a 5x6 mule deer. When I was 18, I shot a really big moose, about a 48-inch moose. When I was 18, I got my nice big, about 140-inch whitetail. A couple years ago, I shot about a 20-inch black bear, which was a story in its own. I shot the biggest bear I've ever seen with a .223, and so that might be a story for later on in the podcast. And then growing up, I always did a lot of fishing on the lakes and rivers and stuff. And then I think when I was about 11 years old is when we started going to the ocean. And man, me and my dad, we were just instantly hooked on that. Even with that, the shithouse luck I've had in my life has been just phenomenal. From shooting trophy animals to catching trophy fish. We got about a 300-pound skate out in Port Renfrew. When I was about 16, I caught a 50-pound Chinook, and then just a few years ago, I caught a 300 to 350-pound halibut. And I don't know about you, but I believe in that fisherman's luck. You could pour me a glass of water and I'll catch a fish in it. Me and my grandpa were kind of the same way there. For some reason, we just happened to catch a lot of fish. So I think the ocean is kind of where I belong, but unfortunately I'm living up in the Peace region still. But who knows, maybe one day I'll make her down there. Growing up, for the most part we lived in town, but every weekend we were out hunting or fishing or out on the trap line. If I wasn't doing that, I was watching Survivor Man or Bob Azumi and pretty well just daydreaming about getting back out into the bush. So luckily for me and my dad, he never held me back. He always took me out hunting and fishing. let me drive the sled, let me set traps. Got my hunter education done when I was real young. Got my trapping course done when I was real young too. So I've had a trapping license for quite a few years now. And but that is also why I started up Buick Outdoors. At first, Buick Outdoors was just a page just for me to post my hunting and fishing and a little bit of trapping pictures on there. With Facebook and stuff, there's a little bit of everybody on there. Some people are a little more sensitive to that kind of content than others, and my stuff was starting to get reported. And then I have a sister who's a vegan, so I was trying to just respect everybody. So I just went, the heck with it. I'll just make up a page, put pictures up on there, or whatever, and hopefully that way they kind of stop getting reported and stuff. And then I started noticing a lot of kids and people in general that they wanted to get outside, they wanted to go hunting, they wanted to go fishing, but they had no clue where to really go, how to start, what to do. So I started to reach out to a few people, and I just went, hey, if you want to go fishing, I'll take you out to Inga Lake or whatever. And I started doing that, and the amount of people that were pretty well reaching out and saying, hey, you know what, I need some help too, or sorry about that, guys, a little technical difficulties. But anyways, yeah, I end up getting a lot of people coming and asking me like, hey, can you give us a hand too? And and I just said, you know what, why don't I just do a little contest, giveaways, or start making videos, or in this case, start making podcasts, so I can reach out to kind of a lot more than just one or two people at a time. This way, some of my videos on YouTube, the one has reached 3,000 people. So it's a little easier to reach a couple thousand people by making one video instead of going out one-on-one with people like that. So yeah, and it started out just doing kind of contests and giveaways. A lot of it was mainly, send in a picture of you and your kid out fishing or whatever. If you need a hand or you don't really know where to go, just ask me. I'll tell you where to go, what to use, how to catch fish. If a kid goes fishing, it makes it a lot more enjoyable for them if they catch the fish. So I know, like, for me growing up, even a hardcore fisherman, if I went to the river and I didn't catch nothing, well, that was boring. I didn't want to go back, right? So for a kid that it's his first time going out, you kind of want to set him up to succeed. And for the most part, it was either use this Panther Martin or use this Meps or use this J-hook with a worm and a little split shot and a bobber. And it was really easy at the start, and it grew pretty quick at first. And then for some reason, if you ask people to do any work, they just don't want to do it. There's a lot of these that I've been doing where the prizes were huge. The one that was for an ice fishing package, you got a auger, a fishing rod, a reel, a tackle box, a bunch of tackle. There's an ice scoop. I even put new line on there specifically for ice fishing, and a lot of it, if you ask people to just like and share, they'll do it. But if it's, hey, I want you to send me a write-up on why you want to hunt, I'll pick which one I think is the best, and I was going to put somebody through their core course. Unfortunately, I got 2 submissions. So lately, it's been extremely hard to kind of continue with Buick Outdoors. However, I'm still trying to create content like this podcast, like videos and stuff like that. And who knows, eventually it might get a little bit bigger one day. But for right now, I think these contests and stuff are kind of done, just because nobody's willing to put in any effort. And I really don't want to help somebody that's not willing to help themselves. But at least with Buick Outdoors, though, it has grown enough where I've been able to become a brand ambassador for Antler Obsession, Smith Game Calls, Black Widow Innovations. I'm also a writer for Non-Typical Nation. And then I'm also a brand ambassador for H Hour Apparel. And then also just recently got approved for the Amazon affiliate program. So if you see any links and stuff like that on these videos or these podcasts for Amazon, if you click on that and buy it, a portion of that money goes to me. Basically, it's what that is. And then I'm hoping what I can do with that money is I can take it and put it back into Buick Outdoors so I can create more programs, whether it's a fishing derby, more contests, more giveaways, whatever. I just want to motivate people to actually get out to the outdoors, go fish, go hunt, go hike, quad, photography, whatever it is. Just, get away from the TVs and the phones and the Xboxes and stuff. And that's really what Buick Outdoors is all about, is just getting people outside. Lately, you see so many kids where their idea of fun is sitting down and playing a video game, and I can't really judge them all that much because, I play video games too every once in a while. But when that is your life, you're not living. Your parents will never frame your best Call of Duty game, but they will frame you holding that fish or out on that hiking trip or your first deer, your first moose, or whatever. There's a lot of pride that comes with hunting and fishing and trapping too. Being a little kid and outsmarting that animal, or catching your first fish, feeding your family, sitting down at a fish fry or at a barbecue and saying, you know what, I provided this meal for my family. It's a huge honor for kids, and I think a lot of them are missing out on that nowadays. So I'm trying my damnedest to get more people and their kids to the outdoors, but it can be a real struggle, that is for sure. But we're trying anyways. Eventually what I'd like to have too is pretty well just like a big package deal where I'll put somebody through their core course, their PAL, buy them their first rifle, their first scope, take them on a hunt, show them how to hunt, how to skin, how to gut, how to process and butcher it and package it so you get the most out of your game. But then you really run into some issues with the legal works on that, because technically speaking, it is kind of guiding, but not really, because looking at the hunting regulations for BC, for it to be a illegal guide, it's basically if you take compensation or reward for it, where if I take somebody hunting, I don't take any compensation or reward or anything like that. It's just like taking a buddy hunting. It's, hey, grab your gun, your tag, your license, your knives, whatever, and we'll just go for a drive. You're not paying me. You're not putting fuel in my truck. You're not, you're not giving me anything for it. But there's a lot of gray areas in the regs for that, and I'm pretty sure for the most part, I think most guys would just kind of turn a blind eye to it, but there'd be a lot of other guys where they would start questioning you and really looking into it. And I don't know. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong if I take somebody hunting like that, but at the same time, I don't want to be getting in shit for taking somebody hunting when I'm just trying to introduce them to the outdoors. But I don't know. That's something I guess I'll have to just figure out in the future. Eventually, who knows, maybe I'll just have to partner up with a guy, an outfitting guy, and actually pay for a guided hunt to take people on. But that is so far in the future. I don't even want to really think about that right now, because a guided bear hunt alone is roughly about $5,000. Moose hunts are $10,000 to $15,000 kind of a thing. So right now, if I take somebody out, it's just going to be, here's a fishing rod that's about $40. I don't have the, I don't have the means to be taking people on actual guided hunts. So we'll see what happens in the future. Anyways, yeah, if you guys enjoy this podcast, please like and share it, subscribe to it wherever you're listening to it, or if you're watching it on YouTube, it'll definitely help a long way. Another thing that happens there with the old YouTube there is as soon as you hit a certain criteria, you can eventually start getting paid for YouTube videos. So if you guys subscribe to it, I need like 1,000 subscribers before I start making a penny, and even then you get paid per so many thousand views kind of thing. But eventually, if I do start getting money from YouTube, all that money is going to go straight directly back into Buick Outdoors as well. I won't see a penny of it, and that'll be just to help pay for fishing rods and who knows, eventually guns or hunts and stuff, and we can kind of make this dream become a reality. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening, and yeah, see you on the next one.